While much attention is on Gaza, the fate of its fragile ceasefire, and the plans for reconstruction, the situation in the occupied West Bank, the other Palestinian territory, is increasingly volatile. 2 days after the Gaza ceasefire came into effect, Israel launched its largest military operation in the West Bank in decades. The ongoing operation has displaced tens of thousands of Palestinians from major cities, as Israel says it aims to eradicate terrorism in West Bank strongholds and a signal that it could continue for the coming year. So against this backdrop, in this video we're going to explain why fears are heightened that Israel, with the backing of the United States, may pursue annexation of the West Bank, and what the major consequences of this might be. Never miss an episode and always feel in the loop by subscribing and ringing the bell. Now, for context, the West Bank has been militarily occupied by Israel since it was captured during the 1967 war. In the 1990s, after the first Palestinian Intifada, or uprising, Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization signed the Oslo Accords, which established limited self-governance for Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, with a view to eventual, but as yet unrealized, full Palestinian statehood. The Accords also split the West Bank into 3 areas: A, under the control of the Palestinian Authority, B, under joint Palestinian and Israeli control, and Area C, under direct Israeli control. Now, some 3 million Palestinians live in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, as do an estimated 700,000 Jewish Israeli settlers, who live in hundreds of settlements and outposts across the territory, considered illegal under international law. Now, most Palestinians live in areas A and B, which are the most urbanized areas of the West Bank, and cover 17% and 23% of the territory's land respectively, and are a patchwork of hundreds of separate segments, broken up by Area C, which covers about 60% of the West Bank, and is home to an estimated 300,000 Palestinians and most of the Israeli settler population. Rising Israeli settler violence and restrictions of movement of Palestinians are some of the key causes of tension in the West Bank, and the last few years have seen a record expansion of Israeli settlement activity. In 2023, the Israeli government approved a record number of building permits for new settlement housing units, and in 2024, it declared more West Bank territory as state land than in any previous calendar year. In fact, in 2024, the International Court of Justice issued a landmark advisory opinion declaring that Israel's prolonged occupation of the Palestinian territories is illegal under international law, and that it must be ended as soon as possible. It also stated that Israel was under an obligation to cease all new settlement activities and evacuate all 700,000 or so Israeli settlers from the occupied Palestinian territory. Israel dismissed this ruling and has long denied that its occupation and settlements are illegal. Annexation of the West Bank, i.e. unilaterally bringing the territory, or parts of it, under full Israeli sovereignty, is particularly a goal for parts of the Israeli right, who claim historical, religious, and security justification for doing so. The Israeli government has also come close to at least partial annexation of the West Bank before. In 2019, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to annex swathes of the West Bank, including existing Israeli settlements and most of the Jordan Valley. Then in 2020, Donald Trump unveiled his Israeli-Palestinian peace plan, which would have seen Israel annex approximately 30% of the West Bank. But for a number of reasons, this never happened. Annexation plans were shelved as later that year, Israel normalized diplomatic relations with several Arab countries under the Abraham Accords. However, fast forward a few years, and the stars have seemingly aligned for pro-annexation Israelis. Israel has the most right-wing government in its history, and Donald Trump is back in the White House. Reflecting on this reality, Israel's far-right finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, a settler himself, said that the year 2025 will, with God's help, be the year of sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, referring to the annexation of the West Bank, and using the Israeli-favoured biblical term for the territory. Clearly, Trump's return has significantly emboldened pro-settler and pro-annexation Israelis, and for good reason. In his first term, Trump broke with decades of US policy and international consensus by recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the occupied Golan Heights, which Israel captured from Syria in 1967. His administration also broke with the US's long-standing designation of Israeli settlements in the West Bank as illegal. Since his return to office, Trump has appointed former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as US ambassador to Israel. Huckabee, an evangelical Christian, views the land as God-given to the Jewish people, and has said that he thinks Israel has the title deed to Judea and Samaria. Trump's proposal to depopulate the Gaza Strip of Palestinians was also welcomed by Israel's pro-settler movement, and on the first day of his new presidential term, Trump scrapped sanctions that the Biden administration had placed on some Israeli settlers. And just this week, Finance Minister Smotrich met with Trump's Treasury Secretary in Washington, D.C., a clear change from the Biden administration, which had effectively boycotted Smotrich. So will Israel actually pursue annexation? Well, it's clear that the government will only do so if it has the approval of the United States. In fact, at the beginning of this year, the Israeli government voted down an opposition bill that sought to annex the West Bank's Jordan Valley, with ruling coalition lawmakers suggesting that annexation needs to be pursued wisely and with the cooperation of the US. So, will Trump actually support the idea? The main reason that he may not is that it would almost certainly kill his goal of securing a Saudi-Israeli normalization deal. However, this prospective normalization already looks unlikely, given Saudi opposition to Israel's behavior in Gaza. And as we outlined earlier, most other signs point to Trump supporting annexation, with the potential announcement coming anytime soon. So what would annexation actually look like if it happens? Well, whatever the ultimate vision of the Israeli government, it would probably be a multi-step process, perhaps beginning with the annexation of Israeli settlements close to Jerusalem, then those deeper inside the West Bank and their environs, and then perhaps the Jordan Valley and broader parts of Area C. Annexation would have far-reaching consequences. It would bury what little hope remains of a two-state solution by making a viable contiguous Palestinian state impossible. And to be clear, that is the goal of people like Smotrich. It would also complicate the fragile ceasefire in Gaza and undermine the already weak and unpopular Palestinian Authority, and would risk sparking a new wave of violence in the area. It would also most likely sink the possibility of a long-sought diplomatic normalization with Saudi Arabia, and could imperil existing peace treaties with countries like Jordan. Unilateral annexation would also be in violation of international law, and would be met with global condemnation, particularly from the Arab world, Europe, and beyond, possibly prompting international sanctions. However, with the Trump-led US offering political cover and vetoing condemnatory resolutions of the UN Security Council, Israel would presumably hope that it could weather the diplomatic storm. If you didn't know, Too Long is our regular physical magazine, with our next issue diving deep into the people who control our world, the 25 most influential people as rated by the TLDR team and you. The next edition contains that entire ranking, as well as articles and long reads about all of the most influential people, the power they hold, and how they wield their immense influence. We also discuss a variety of other topics, from the issues facing Starmer in the UK, to the rise of the new right in Europe, to if peace can really hold in Gaza. These are all topics we discuss in videos, but the reporting you'll find in Too Long is some of our best writing, with us able to spend longer on the stories than is ever possible on YouTube. If you're interested in checking it out and supporting the channel, then you can pre-order a copy right now at toolong.news. There you'll find two versions of the magazine, the standard and the premium editions. By buying the premium edition, you not only get the magazine, but you also get about 2 hours of exclusive content where the team debate and discuss their top 25 ranking, as well as reacting to the audience's vote for the very first time.
We could potentially have a monumental jump on our hands.
Yeah.
Hands up for leapfrogging into sixth.
The most powerful European country, the second biggest economy, the nuclear power that is... The nuclear power!
Yeah. You'll also get regular access to our behind-the-scenes podcast, The Bullpen, and get your name printed in the thank you section of the magazine. Whichever edition you want, head over to toolong.news to find out more. And if you subscribe to the magazine using code SUBSCRIBENOW, you'll be able to get a copy for as low as $4.99. Anyway, thanks for your support, because Too Long really does help to fund our journalism year-round.